This video is going to look at how to create group work wikis within your main central wiki. Within Wikispaces, we're going to look at something called projects. So I'm within a wiki that's already been prepared and used by students, and over on the right hand side there's a link called projects. When I click on this, you can see the projects we've already got in. When I click on this, you can see the projects that we already have in this subject that we've been running. A project really means a group of teams working on group projects. We can create a project very easily by using this button at the top here. Give a name, so you can call it group projects. The project is just a shell. Within that, we need to add teams for our student groups to work on. By default, the form comes up with 3 teams. We can use the trash icon to remove those if we want less than 3, or we can add more teams. We can also edit the names of these teams. We can do that now or do it later if we like. I'm just going to choose 3 teams called teams 1 to 3 by default, and I just click create teams. Wikispaces then shows me my 3 teams as 3 empty buckets, meaning there's no students yet within those teams. In the right hand side is the list of my students. These are students who have already accepted the invitation to join my wiki. I can manually drag and drop students into groups, or if I scroll down to the bottom, there's an option to assign randomly. I can see my students are now within the teams randomly set. I can still drag and drop students out of one team into another if I need to change that later. I can at any time rename my team, so if students have come up with a name for their team that they would prefer to use, we can add that in. We also have some control over the access. that students have to each of these. If I just click on this, by default, these teams are set as private, which means only the members of this team can see this wiki, with the exception, of course, of organisers. We may choose to leave it as that while students are working on their project, but at a later time open it up where other student teams can view what their teammates have done but not edit it. Or we may choose to open it up as public to everyone that has access to this wiki, which means students can add comments to other students' groups. But for now, I'll just leave it as private. And that's all we need to do to set up groups within our wikis. If I click on the name of the team, you'll see that there is a separate wiki set up for each individual team. It starts with a home page, as we saw when we first created our wiki, and students have full permission to edit their pages or to add further pages. You might find it easy to populate the first page of each wiki for the student teams, or you don't have to do that if you don't need to. That's all we have to do to create student groups within Wikispaces.